on previous predictions and looking forward to bye week for the Oklahoma Sooners and what's coming after that.
Chris with the K.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to Sooner Intel. I am your host, Jason Watkins, along with my co-host, K. Chris Griffin from the Horns Down podcast, and Mr. Mason, Chris Mason from Sooners 360. You love college football with the Oklahoma Sooners, you know you're in the right spot. But before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like all the streams, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss one moment. Sooner Intel. Gentlemen, welcome to bye week. Good to see you guys again. How's everything going?
It's going well.
It's going good. It's going good. Let's get to it.
Hey man, obviously we got to just to say a few things about obviously what happened this past weekend. Huge win for Oklahoma. They're going into a bye week feeling good, kind of like what you were talking about last week there. But Chris, got to give you a little bit of flowers on that at least. It was good way to go into it. Obviously, you had the first week of predictions or as far rankings for the CFP. We're gonna get into that um with our predictions for the CFP first 12 uh going, moving forward. But first off, what are you guys thinking about what you saw? Or but talk about whatever, but what do you think about what you saw from the committee? Was there any red flags that popped up for you guys? Anything like that?
I mean, some of the ACC teams. I think obviously you can be mad at. You really could pick either one that you want to be mad at. You can be mad at the whole Notre Dame issue that's going on, or you could be mad at the fact that Memphis right now, the group of five, their resumes, especially if you're an OU or a Texas fan. But I think it was right on par with what I thought. Honestly, if I'll just be honest with you guys personally, when that popped on, you guys know because I texted in our group chat, text my uncle as well. I was pleasantly surprised when we were ranked number 12 because that to me, I thought we were going to be 14, 15. That's really obviously I could sit here and say that's what I was really worried about.
Yeah.
Where we were going to be ranked. It wasn't necessarily what I was worried about because again, I think we control our own destiny. But whenever I saw that we were ranked number 12, I said, hey, there's some conversations to be had about a 9-3 OU, but especially about a 10-2. Honestly, there's no question about a 10-2. 10-2, you're in. But pretty much
No.
it makes these last three games. This is championship November, people. So this extends all the way back. OU comes alive as Sooner Magic for whatever that it gets going and it just can't stop. The momentum is there. You control your own destiny. But again, when I saw us at number 12 in the initial rankings, I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Was not expecting that. I was expecting like 15, 14, something like that. Fight our way in, get some help. But at 12, if you go handle business these next couple of weeks, fellas, you set yourself up to go in there with a pretty good seed.
True. Yeah, I would say that. I know a lot of people were complaining about the Notre Dame stuff. You had to know that was coming. I don't know why you would continue having this conversation. If we can scream and yell about it all they want. They want them in the playoff if they're 10-2. If they're 10-2 or better, they want them in. That's just how it is. That's Fox and ESPN. I heard Uncle Lou saying something last week about that very little had to do with ESPN and all that other stuff, that it wasn't about, it's not up to them, it's not up to Fox. Like, who the fuck you think it is up to? That's exactly who it's up to, and that is exactly what it's going to be. Yeah, they may be with NBC, but they're also pretty much NBC's in bed with Fox, and they're running this damn playoff. They, no matter what, ESPN wants to have them on their airways for the playoff. Plain and simple. End of story. It's more money. So it didn't surprise me at all where they were at. I guess I was a little surprised at Oklahoma as well. Mr. Mason, what were your initial thoughts on it, though?
I agree with K. Chris. I think I sent you guys in our secret chat room. I thought that OU would be around 13th. So 14th, 15th was kind of my fear. So I was happy with where they were at 12th. I knew Texas would be ahead of us. When you're looking at possibly BYU and Virginia or Texas Tech and Memphis in the in the first round of the playoffs, that kind of explains why TV might want Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You're not talking about big fan bases here with some of these schools.
Well, you're looking at Miami not being there, possibly. I mean,
Yeah,
more than likely, it looks like. No,
you've lost a lot of star power there in terms of some teams, especially if you lose Texas and OU due to some of their schedules coming up, and you lose two big brands like that. I mean, it's not a surprise that OU's had 6 million viewer games so far this year, I think. And we keep seeing that the Big 12 can't generate much more than 2 or 3 million from their best matchups. So I think the Notre Dame thing is obviously if I'm a TV exec, I'm like, guys, I need Notre Dame in there unless you can give me some bigger brands, right? That you can give me some bigger brands, and then I can justify knocking them out. But if I got to try and it's Ole Miss is in there. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how big a TV draw they are nationally. Really, I know Kiffin kind of brings an edge to them, but
yeah, I was fixing to say Kiffin probably helps with that a bit.
But if you're TV, you're like, okay, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, that's all good. Oregon's good, and I'd really like a Texas or an Oklahoma in there. If I'm gonna, looks like I'm gonna have either BYU or Texas Tech, or Virginia or Louisville. I need that's basketball. That's all good, but I need some brand power in here. Notre Dame brings that. If you're as the committee, you can't put teams like Texas or Oklahoma in.
Well, BYU definitely brings that though too. They are the school for the LDS faith for Mormons.
They are, but
very similar to like how Notre Dame is, for Catholics.
Chris Mason, so I was just going to jump in here and say this right here. So first off, I think the rankings always the first week is just kind of based on delusion, right? I think this year what makes it probably the most interesting to me personally is that at the top, at kind of the very top, a lot of those teams, and obviously that's because we're in a 12-team playoff now. But a lot of those teams, even if they do play each other, there's not necessarily that much consequence that comes of those games. And that's mainly because a lot of those teams have handled business already. But obviously, if Indiana and Ohio State finish undefeated and go into the Big Ten championship game, one of them automatically slides down to probably 4 or 5, and that's probably it. I know kind of thinking about my rankings a little bit. Hell, I think I put Georgia up there because I still think Georgia is the team to beat in the SEC until somebody actually does. Obviously outside of Bama, you can do it right then and there, but you got to do it again if you're Bama to confirm it. But in my mind, I think it's Texas A&M. What are you guys going to do? But yeah, I just think that's probably the most interesting part at the top is that there's not really that much consequence coming out of those games. Big 12. I will say this, and maybe you guys will back me up, maybe you guys won't, but I think obviously this weekend's game is huge especially for Tech, because you can't lose another game if you're Texas Tech. Obviously you could say, yeah, we should get in with 2 losses. I don't know. That's going to be tough. But if you win,
the way they get in with 2 losses is if they win this game and lose to them in the conference championship game.
Exactly.
How you get into it.
Yeah. So I think that's that's kind of an issue for me if I'm the Big 12, because I'm over here having to put my faith in the Sims kid from because Iowa State is pretty much done. I'm
Yeah.
having to put my faith in the Sims kid from Arizona State to get them to where they would like to be. So essentially, you're basically putting in all of your calling cards with BYU and Texas Tech to go out there and do what kind of, don't eliminate each other, right? So that's what you're kind of begging for right now. So the Big 12 is, that's an interesting thing that nobody's talking about as well. They could end up with just one team in the playoffs, depending on kind of what happens these next couple of weeks. And also, the Big 12 is out of every league outside of the not named the SEC, that league is cannibalizing itself as well. So again,
Just
you
like
know,
they did last year. Just
yes,
like they did last year.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's interesting. You're right because you look at the Big 12 standings right now, and if BYU knocks off Texas Tech this weekend, and Arizona State runs the table, Arizona State's back in the is back in the championship game. I think they win the hold the tiebreakers. I don't see Cincinnati not picking up another. I'd see Cincinnati picking up another loss probably. And I think you got Houston. I think and Utah. I mean, you've got if the Raiders and the Bearcats pick up second losses each, and some of these other teams are able to run the table. Tiebreaker. We're in tiebreaker nightmare scenarios. Just like going to like probably the fifth or sixth tiebreaker at this point. So the Big 12 gets real interesting. And I don't see if they go to that and that team plays BYU. I don't see that team if they get a loss and have three losses getting a championship game slot. We're in the championship game. Well, it doesn't mean you get the slot. You got to beat BYU to do it. The discussion then becomes: does BYU get in with just one loss? So that's what you don't want.
Can
Wait,
I can I just throw something out there real quick, just an idea,
Yeah.
and again, if it's stupid, just call bullshit on it. Jason, I'll ask it to you.
all right.
Instead of expanding the playoffs even more than what we are, because I think both of you guys know I was
That's
against the
coming.
whole 12 team
That's coming.
playoff.
Yeah, that's coming though.
It's most likely coming. How about this? How about this? How about this? How about instead of expanding to more teams, how about this right here? The group of five team plays a play-in game against whoever is right there behind them, or everybody's basically eyeing. So that 13, basically who would be in the 12 if we're doing straight seating, right? It would be, that 12th team that's a play-in game. I don't know how you necessarily work that in, but for me, I think that would be, I could, I would be fine with that.
So okay, run that by me one more time. I want to make sure I get what you're
Okay,
saying. So
so that group of five team. Okay, so let's say season ended right now, right? And OU's number 12.
right.
Obviously, Memphis would be in, but you would say, okay, Memphis, you're the group of five team. Um, Based on schedule or based on whatever the criteria, whatever is pushing them towards that, they would play a play-in game, similar to what you see in the NCAA tournament, similar to what you see in the NBA now, and that would go against the last team.
Yeah, and I mean you could do it during championship weekend and all that kind of stuff. I don't see why you couldn't do it. Um, I like the idea of what they were talking about more. Rather than doing a conference championship game, I think you could play in if they were doing it more like the 4-4-2-2 deal. What they were talking about is, say you get to the 16 team and they go to that 4-4-2-2. I like the idea of playing um, the two games against like the 3 and 4 seed for Oklahoma or no, for SEC and Big Ten, right? So where you've got I guess it'd be the 6 and the 4, and then the 5 and the 3
Mm-hmm.
playing against each other for those spots. Because then you're playing into it, and rather than
Yeah.
having a conference championship game, you got 1 and 2 either way, right? You don't really need that. I like that idea. So what you're saying is kind of similar to that, I guess. You're kind of just rather than doing it, I think it'd be a better idea, and it's more football, which doesn't hurt anybody's feelings, except for maybe, yeah, it's more money. That's what I'm saying. It's more football, more TV time. I think that's what they're headed for.
Yeah,
But when you've got this straight seeding model coming in, you have the Big 12 kind of throw a monkey wrench in the whole deal.
yeah.
Going to a 16 team starting next year, we don't know what's going to happen next year. Now it should go to 16. Not that you have to, but I get it. Go ahead.
One more thing that I have to say, and I'm just gonna throw this out there. Okay, I was talking to a friend at the gym today, and I think the last thing I said, and shout out to my guy Wes. Last thing I said to him before he left, I said, "Hey, if anything with these, if anything, if I learned anything from the playoff committee, or there was one thing I walked away from those rankings thinking, was simply this: Notre Dame needs to join a fucking conference ASAP. It's ridiculous. I don't think a blind
This is,
man
this
would
is a
say
weird.
anything different. He can see that too. They need to join a conference at some point. That way, there's equity, there's actual stock, there's actual stake. Because the whole thing is okay. I get it. Their best win is USC, and USC is ranked, and USC still has a chance somehow to probably make its way to the college football playoff. But
Right.
outside of that, Boise State. Outside of that, Arkansas, who a lot of people thought could have been better this year, but still where they're at right now is where a lot of people still had them being. You go down there and you kick their ass. I get that. That's perfectly fine. However, this schedule that you have, you lost to your two best opponents. I don't care if one game was just by both games were really close. You played
It
really
goes by
well.
combined 4 points.
Yeah,
Combined, yeah,
and the whole thing is that look, everybody said, hey, if they run the table, at least national media said that if they run the table, losing those two games, they still make the playoffs.
of course they do.
But it's just one of those things where I think that you have to have some type of affiliation going forward because it's only going to get harder for you if you're Notre Dame. Most of the time, your logo on the your logo is going to do everything for you. I don't know. For me, I feel like they need to be in a conference.
Listen, I understand the argument. I understand, and everybody in there is with you. Just made everybody very happy in the comments section that hates Notre Dame. And I'm going to tell you that none of that fucking matters, guys. None of it. None of what you just heard from K Chris means a fucking thing to the people at ESPN and Fox. Again, all they care about is the almighty dollar, and guaranteed you get more eyes with Notre Dame in the field. End of story. And there's a reason why they've got conference commissioners and the AD from Notre Dame in these conversations about what's going to happen with the playoff moving forward because they are their own entity. They make enough money that they don't need the fucking rest of the conferences in the country, and that works for them. I can tell you right now, Notre Dame has zero intention of joining a conference, zero, unless everybody else around them makes them do it. And guess what? They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. If they
Well,
wanted to do it, if they wanted this to happen, it would have already happened. The truth is, Notre Dame doesn't. The way that that guaranteed the SEC SEC Big Ten and for sure ESPN and Fox are looking at it as well. We only get Notre Dame into the playoff every year if if they're not in a conference because maybe they wouldn't. I mean, you can say whatever you want about the schedule. They've played good schedules, they've played bad ones. They had a pretty good schedule last year. So you can say whatever we want about that. In the end, if you're in a conference, chances are you don't get them in every year. They want them in every year if they possibly can. Now you're going to have to get to at least 10-2, I think, not being in it, but they want them in. And until they don't want them in over everybody else, particularly when you got a G5 qualifier in there and all that other shit. If you're going to do a G5 qualifier, my argument would be I don't give a fuck about what they're saying about Notre Dame. I don't. I mean, if we're gonna put Boise in last year and now we're gonna have Memphis or whoever else in there this year, I don't really give a shit that Notre Dame isn't in the conference. I don't.
I think for me, again, if you're an OU fan, look, we can complain about it all day. You got to go out there and win. And the whole thing is that all three of these games remaining on your schedule are very gettable. There are chinks in the armor for all these teams, and all these teams have different scenarios. There's different storylines going on with these teams. You got one who pretty much, can they get back to the excellence that they have displayed over the past decade and more, right? The next team, they lost their quarterback. Coach could be on the move, right? Leading rusher in the SEC. It's a lot of different storylines. That's a rivalry game as well. Last game of the season, that team is reeling. Have they actually gave up? Are they, what do they have left? They're still a very talented team, but there's a lot of different storylines going there. But the whole thing is that if you go and take care of business, you're in and you give yourself an opportunity. I think that's all OU fans are asking for right now. We're 7-2. Obviously, we can go to Sooner Cowboys route. Please don't go 8-4. But at the same time, I have high hopes for this team. To again, I think everybody on here either pick 10-2 or 9-3, right? So it's there, but you just got to go win. And I think that's the same for a lot of other teams as well, outside of possibly those top 5 or 6 teams, right? Well, Oregon, don't go slip up and don't look bad either, because it seems like the national media or the narrative around you is starting to slip for whatever reason. I don't know why it's starting to slip. So again, I just think that when you look at the bottom half, I think it's a lot of games still left. Hell, Texas, with two huge opportunities on their schedule with Georgia and Texas A&M. I think nobody on here thinks that they're going to be either one of those teams, but they could split it, right? Regardless, though, whole thing is that it's out there for you. But this is the first rankings, right? It kind of feels like back in the old days when we are sitting there and we are number 5 or number 6, and we're just waiting on Georgia and Bama to do what they do. One of them gets bumped out, boom, we're right there in that top 4. So I feel like that's where we're at right now. We just have to keep the momentum because, and one last thing I would say, fellas, we could talk about Notre Dame. We could talk about the Big 12. But let me tell you something. The ACC, that in itself is just, I don't get it. But I think the issue with the ACC is the fact that Miami
What do you mean
is
by
where
that,
they're
brother?
at
If
right
you
now.
don't get it, what do you mean
Well,
by
I think he means who knows what the hell's going to happen there. It's a mess.
no
It's
doubt?
such a mess, and
It's
it's
like
Miami's fault, but it's such a mess, and Clemson too. Go ahead.
throw a dart at about 8 different teams who could be in there. I mean, I think Duke still has a chance to win, and they're not even in the top 25. I mean, they could be in the ACC championship game, and they're not in the top 25.
So they're in the same boat as the Big 12 and the SEC that cannibalizing each other.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, the SEC has the clearest like 1-2 right now, right? And there's a gap between, they have a top 4, and there's a gap between them and the rest of the conference. You got to do some wacky shit to get some other teams in there. You just do. I mean, you got to do some wacky stuff to get some other teams in there, for the most part. But yeah, I think what highlights this to me is that you've just, as Chris said, you've got 4 ACC teams that are within striking distance. There is Chris is very much of the chaos. There's chaos possibilities here, and it could start this weekend, right? You get some craziness in the SEC, things get a little weird. So that's what you wonder. That's what I really wonder about is how weird is this? Is the locked part of this bracket, this playoff bracket, going to get right? Because Bama's, Georgia is another loss away from potentially being not as certain as we all think they are, from that perspective. Especially if they were to like lose a conference game and then lose to Tech. what the hell does that do to them? So there's just a lot of weirdness that could happen if everything goes to chalk. This process is going to be pretty simple. Going to be pretty straight. But if you start getting some weirdness, like Michigan takes out Ohio State, and they're 10 there, and that puts them in the Big Ten championship game possibly.
I guess it could, because they only have the one loss in conference. Yeah.
Yeah, that puts them in the Big Ten championship game. Ohio State falls to
That's what
fifth.
happened last year.
Yeah, falls to fifth. And do they beat Indiana? Or what does that do? And then you have Oregon running the table on the other side. I'm not sure about an Oregon Michigan tiebreaker. Anybody know what that would be? I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh,
So
with Oregon, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know, but if you're Michigan and you've just knocked off Ohio State and you're 10-2, aren't you jumping into like the top 12 when you've got two? You got an early season loss to Oklahoma. So Chris says there's chaos potentially coming. There's a lot of chaos points. If we get a couple of weird things in the SEC, everything sort of starts falling apart, right? We really got to have Georgia take out Texas next week. No matter what we do, we need that loss to happen.
Right.
Because that pretty much puts Texas
Here's the question.
On a weak footing there.
Well, but here's the question I have, though. If let's say Texas does lose that game and Oklahoma doesn't beat Alabama.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how many of us are going to be picking Oklahoma to beat Alabama here.
Well, the issue is if they beat A&M,
if you start talking 9-3, don't you then put Texas in over Oklahoma because of head-to-head?
I think that's a distinct possibility. If Texas splits their two final games and doesn't stub their foot against Arkansas in some weird way, yeah, I mean, I based upon losing head to head with them, I don't see how.
I think Oklahoma's out, right?
I think Oklahoma's behind Texas. Are they out? I don't know.
Because 9-3 SEC teams, one thing. If they put 2 9-3 SEC teams in over,
well, it just depends what else happens. Whatever chaos happens, right? So if you have, because in that kind of scenario, that would be, I don't think you're getting more than 5 in. So you would have to have some other
Troy Ball. He's got the Go Irish in there right away. I love it.
Yeah. So you gotta have some craziness kick in elsewhere. So
that's where it would be. You need to hope if you're an Oklahoma fan, you are hoping for a 9-3 or whatever. And same with Texas, I would guess.
Yeah,
Notre Dame's got to get beat.
So the first two things, if these two things don't happen, you're on the edge, right? Texas got to go 8-4, right? Lose to A&M, lose to Georgia, or any combination of the 3 games they have. Lose 2 of them.
Yeah.
They go 8-4, and then you've got to have Notre Dame at 9-3 as well.
Yes, Notre Dame has to lose. They need to
lose. Yeah,
right.
And then everything else can sort of play out for you. You just need ACC cross-pollination losses, and you need Big 12 cross-pollination losses. So they each only have 1 bid. And then,
statement, Daniel. This is not a true statement. That's absolutely false. It's not an easy choice. No, Texas over OU. Texas over OU. I don't know. I don't know that that's an easy choice, though.
It depends. If they have the same schedule, but 8-4.
I think that games on the field have to matter. So as much as I would really hate this, Texas got to go in over OU for me. But I don't know that it's that easy of a choice for the committee.
Right. And at that point, 8-4 Texas and 9-3 Oklahoma, that's a push for OU. The committee isn't paying that much attention to conference rankings at that point. Really, they're not. I mean, 8-4 Texas will be further down from that. I guess from that standpoint, they won't have any. They won't have any. They couldn't put Alabama in at 9-3 last year. They can't put an 8-4 Texas team in just because they have the same number of conference losses as Oklahoma, who's 9-3.
Mac,
So
what big win does Notre Dame have? Their biggest win would be SC.
yeah,
But again, I'll repeat what I said a minute ago. None of that matters. None of that matters.
yeah. I mean, you need
If
yes,
they get to 10-2, they will be in the playoff no matter who it pisses off.
right. So if Memphis is the group of 5, and then you've got just the ACC winner and just the Big 12 winner. Notre Dame takes a spot, still takes a spot at 10-2. Let's say they win out. 9-3 Oklahoma can get in as long as they're the 5th, the real 5th SEC team. And to get that, you need Vandy to lose. You'll take Missouri out.
Oklahoma in for sure.
You take Missouri out. You take Missouri out by your play on the field, and then you would be technically tied with Texas in conference. But big picture, we won our out of conference game. Texas lost theirs. So, and they have one more loss than we have. As long as Texas is 8-4, they're out of it. It's
yeah, I don't know that 9-3 is going to get either of the teams in, to be honest with you, because
I think it all depends upon the carnage elsewhere, right? If there are 2 definitive ACC teams that need to get in, then you're in trouble. If there's 2 Big 12 teams that definitively need to get in, then you're in trouble. You need, for that perspective. But I'm not sure the wild card team, and this would lead into our picks.
Yeah, you're going to have to give me a minute. You're going to have to give me a minute for that. So,
yeah, no worries. But the wild card,
just real quick, I want to address what Corrections is saying. The committee has taken into account injuries like they did with Florida State. If they're consistent, they would do the same with Mateer in the loss to Texas. No, they wouldn't. They would have done that if Mateer didn't play in the loss to Texas.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue from a certain viewpoint, if you were in a time machine and you knew you were losing the Texas game regardless, should you have just sat Mateer so you have that in your back pocket?
I think you should have. Well, never mind. I don't want to get back into
that.
No,
I'm just talking like from a time machine perspective.
I think that there was a lot of reasons I felt like that they should have not played John Mateer in that game, or not played him for very long in that game. But there's another one that you could say, yeah. I mean, you had nothing to lose playing Hawkins. Nothing to lose.
So, but yeah, I think so. I don't think the committee will give OU any grace with that. I think it's purely the record, what's going on with the record. Now, if, obviously, to prove that we are different with Mateer, I think you just got to win out, and then that solves a lot of the problems, right? We get the Tennessee second half Mateer the rest of the season, and he posts wins for us, and that takes care of everything anyway, right? Like, okay, they are a different team with Mateer because they're winning and now they're in. But I think there's it just depends where the chaos points are, right? We right now have 2 definitive title games: Ohio State and Indiana, Texas A&M versus Alabama.
So I can take a step back and do these damn graphics, bro. Okay, Chris, get your ass back in here. He's always doing this. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry about that.
But that's where it is, the definitive title. I mean, the real wild cards right now are Pitt, Michigan, and Georgia Tech, right? If Tech can win out and put a loss on Georgia, they make everything really interesting.
No doubt. I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. Tell you what,
I'm a little. I guess.
Here's where
the number one thing that confused me was not Notre Dame so much, because I kind of expected that. I was shocked Utah was 13th.
Okay.
Getting so manhandled by Texas Tech in Utah earlier in the season. So I'm a little surprised by their sort of strength of their the eye test on Utah because
It,
they
it,
seem a little all over the place.
I don't know. And this is where you start looking at it. I don't understand what they see in Utah either. I really don't. I'm struggling to understand it.
I mean, I know they lost to BYU, but they got their ass handed to them by Tech in at Utah, right?
Mm-hmm.
So no one else has an embarrassing home loss in the top 15.
Well, okay, Chris, address that too. What about that Utah in that 14th spot or 13th spot? Into 13th?
Yes,
You say
13.
Utah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that do? I mean,
I
here,
mean,
I'm gonna step out. I'll be right back.
here's the issue for me again, still with the Big 12, is that Arkansas is playing good football now, but let's look at the remaining schedule that they have, because that's the problem that I fear that they may run into, is just if we're going strictly off the eye test.
Utah
What
doesn't play anybody left. They got nothing left.
they have at Baylor, at home against K State, and then at Kansas. So Baylor, they should win. Kansas could be a tad bit tricky. That's an 11 a.m. game that's on a Friday. Um,
Got
K
black.
State, obviously, they should beat them pretty handedly. Again, still, it's just the whole fact of you're not playing anybody that's going to be ranked. And at the end of the day, Chris Mason, you may not play that well that to where, especially with those last couple of teams that are getting in, you have to be one of pretty much clearly one of the best at large teams to get into this playoff. And I'm just not sure that they're going to have enough to really vouch for that, because I think other teams, again, OU, Texas, they could potentially have a win over a top four, over a top 10 team in a Bama or a Georgia. You get what I'm saying? So
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
just don't know if it comes down to that, to how you would keep those teams out of there for a one loss. Hell, even a one loss Utah, simply because you're saying, who did you guys play? Whoever you played against, you lost against the top team. You didn't look good that game. It's going to be hard to give them the benefit of the doubt, especially if those teams don't move up. And God forbid that an OU or Texas or another team goes and beats some teams that we're naming, because then with those other teams, they just slide down and then they push you out anyways. Get what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I mean, I was just surprised they were so high, having had two losses,
Hey,
one of
Chris,
which they got really beat
Mr.
up
Mason,
badly.
read your private message real quick, Mr. Mason.
Sure.
who have they lost to? They lost to Texas Tech, and then I thought they only had one loss for some reason.
Sorry, who did Texas Tech lose to?
Uh huh.
They've only lost to Arizona State.
No, but Utah.
No. I meant Utah. Who?
They lost to BYU. They lost to BYU.
Okay, so they lost to BYU, so they have two losses. So again, right then and there, yeah. So again, screw what I just said about the one loss. Yeah, if you're a two loss Utah team, you're kind of there as a placeholder in these first couple of rounds of this whole playoff committee, or excuse me, the whole playoff selection, right? Until you're not. So you kind of have to hope for some more chaos, and especially up top, to kind of find your way into that Big 12 championship game. That's kind of what you're waiting on. In my mind, I think it would be what, Tech, BYU, Utah, and then potentially Arizona State. Those are probably your top four teams that are vying for a spot in the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it gets a little goofy. I'm just surprised they were 13th, and maybe that's like their ceiling. They can't get any higher. Other teams will surpass them as they win games and all that. But I was just surprised they were 13th.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got three terrible games left. They're not really going to go up the rankings anymore. So, yeah, that's what I see.
Yeah, again, man,
Keep the
it's
conversation going, guys. I'm almost there.
yeah, I was just about to say, yeah, it's just winning your games, man. That's what it boils down to. Can you go out there and do what you need to do? And our road is not necessarily as difficult as others, but it still is going to have its challenges, right?
Well,
Uh,
Texas has the most difficult road to win out, right? I mean, I
yeah,
think that's easy. That's an easy prediction, right? They got two. They got to play the number 3 team and the number 5 team. One of them on the road, so that's more difficult than OU has the number 4 team and the number 22 team with the 22 team at home. So I think it's it to me the team that reflect that is going to decide, other than OU, the team that has the biggest impact on the rest of this college football season is Pittsburgh.
yeah,
If you know, and if you guys don't know who Pittsburgh plays, let me remind you here. Ever since they changed quarterbacks to this freshman, they've been playing really well. They have Notre Dame at home, then they go to Georgia Tech, and then they get Miami at home. If they run that table, they'll be in the ACC championship game because they still only have one ACC loss because somehow they inexplicably lost to West Virginia week 3 at West Virginia. They get into the ACC championship game. I think they're against maybe one conference loss, Virginia or something like that. They can beat Virginia.
mhm.
And then Pitt knocks out Notre Dame, knocks out Georgia Tech, and then puts the death nail in Miami.
All right. Well, here we go. I'm gonna throw yours up there real quick. Um,
Chris
this,
Mason, I just want to jump in here real quick and just say this right here. Don't forget Georgia Tech plays Georgia at the end of the season.
Right, but if they're locked out of the ACC championship, I don't know that just beating Georgia does enough for them.
Yeah,
But it gets real messy though. It gets very messy if they have 2 losses, beat Georgia, go to the ACC championship game, and then pick up their 3rd loss there. What you do with them? So it gets really messy. So is this me? I'm up first.
yeah, you're up first, and K. Chris, handle the comments for me, would you?
oh, okay.
All right, guys. So this is my chart. Let me explain how we get here so it makes more sense. So Oklahoma loses to Alabama, beats Missouri and LSU, and is 9-3. Okay. Texas loses to Texas A&M and Georgia. They are 8-4 and they are out. Okay. So Ohio State beats Indiana. Ohio State beats Michigan, runs the table, plays Indiana, who runs the table, beats Indiana in a really good Big Ten title game. So Ohio State gets the number 1 seed. A&M goes undefeated, plays Bama in Atlanta, loses to Bama. Bama has beaten OU. They beat whatever scrub they have after us, and they beat Auburn at Auburn. That's how they go 11-1, undefeated in SEC play. They play A&M again, another great game. They beat A&M. So that's where the top 4. That's how the top 4 seeds go. So Georgia runs the table, doesn't get into the SEC championship game, but they have a win over Ole Miss. So that's why they're seeded 5. I'm having Oregon run the table, take out SC, take out Iowa, and take out Washington. So they're basically 11-1, and everybody else in the Big Ten is now 3 losses basically. Then I have that's why Oregon's 6. Ole Miss is behind Oregon for reasons I'm not really sure I can explain, other than maybe some seeding bullshit by the committee. Ole Miss goes 11-1, doesn't get into the SEC championship game, sits and just gets slotted at 7. BYU beats Tech regular season, loses to Tech in the Big 12 championship game, so they keep both BYU and Tech. Pitt runs the table, as I just talked about. All the other loss games I'm talking about leads to Pitt going to the ACC title game with 2 losses, beats Virginia there in my scenario. Virginia has 1 conference loss and wins out. And Pitt has put Notre Dame at 9-3. So that's why Pitt's 10. OU gets in over Notre Dame because of better wins and just as good a losses. And Texas, as I said, is 8-4, so they're not under consideration. And OU's wins, including Michigan, and the wins over Missouri, Tennessee, puts them in. Their losses are all good losses against teams other than Texas in the playoffs, and that's how I justify 9-3 OU getting in. Memphis is your Group of 5 winner. That's how I get to this weird scenario. Pitt goes on a heater, and I don't think 12-0 BYU losing a conference title game will be left out of this at 12-1, even though Tech beats them in the Big 12 rematch. That's how I get there. Okay. So what's the one flaw you guys think in my bracket?
Thinking that it's between Oklahoma and Notre Dame. They're gonna I don't know about all that. But
but if Notre Dame loses to Pitt, the whole we only lost early and we're improved late shield disappears.
Yes, if Notre Dame loses, I don't think they get in it unless they get to 10-2.
Yeah, so I have them 9-3 losing at Pitt.
Chris Mason, you better stop because coach thinks you're on crack right now. Coach Royal said you must be on crack.
Well, I may be, but is Pitt better than Boston College? They certainly look to be. Everyone says. I give Notre Dame a lot of credit for bouncing back from their 2 losses. C.J. Carr's playing well. Jeremiah Love's getting on a little bit of a heater. Oh, yeah. But they haven't really played anybody since then other than USC, who perennially can't stop the run. Really. So, I've watched Pitt lately. That freshman quarterback of theirs is slinging the football around. And like I said, Notre Dame nearly, didn't play very well against Boston College. It's not like they're in juggernaut mode. I think they could go to Pitt and lose a football game. I don't think in the big realm of college football that's some big out of the realm of possibility event.
Okay.
Do I think it will happen? Would I bet my house on it? No, but I think it's in the realm of possibility. And like I said, if you haven't watched Pitt since they changed quarterbacks, they are playing so much better on offense. That freshman quarterback kid of theirs is on a heater.
That's true. No, Pitt looks good. It looks good. And I think Coach would tell you he's a little concerned about the Pitt game. He's been saying that for a while now.
Narduzzi knows how to win games that he shouldn't win. He did that to Miami last year, right?
Sure.
I think that's right. No, it was Syracuse. I thought it was Syracuse. But he's pulled off upset wins like that before. Again, they seem different to me since they got the new quarterback in there. That kid's a gamer. He's playing out of his mind for a freshman. So, and I think the Big 12 scenario is pretty tight. I think we need. You need BYU to beat Tech, and then you need some other things to happen in Tech to lose a tiebreaker. So,
hey, before we jump to I guess to my predictions or whatnot, smash that like button. Shout out to Jimmy Satterfield for always being in here with all 3 of us. Jeff Shear says the game is at Notre Dame. Mason is smoking crack for sure. It's confirmed.
Oh, okay.
Damn! I'm looking at ESPN. And it says versus number 10 Notre Dame. Not at Notre Dame. Is ESPN wrong? I
It's
believe.
I don't know where it is. I'm not looking at it right now, so I'm not sure.
Well, I'm looking at Notre Dame's schedule, and it says it says at Pitt. You want a screenshot of the damn thing?
Nah, you're good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Don't let them fuck with you like that. Don't let them do
Run,
you like
run mine,
that.
Jason. Mine is a little bit out of whack, but
It's
so
not. It's really not much different than what
no,
Mr. Nick.
no, no, no. Mine was a bit different because I didn't have Alabama at 2. I had Texas A&M at 2. I
Ah,
had I
okay, I
had
got you.
and I had Indiana, and that's my fault again. I was a little bit busy at work when I was trying to fill this out, and I didn't get back around back to it. Excuse me,
You have
but yeah.
A&M at 2, and then Indiana where?
So I had Texas A&M at 2. I had Indiana at 3. I had Georgia at 4, and I had Bama at 5, and then everything else stayed the same.
Okay, I'll reprint it and put it out right now.
All right.
Okay,
So
so
yeah,
you have OU 10-2 beating Alabama.
yes,
Okay, that's the first thing we got to get off the board, right?
yes.
And you agree with me basically on the BYU Tech thing.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of a toss-up thing. I think that
And
scenario
you have USF beating Memphis in the American Championship game.
handedly. I don't think that they'll make the
Okay.
same mistakes twice, and I think that yeah, that's a potent attack that's waiting to get
Yeah.
in there.
And you have Oregon winning out.
Yeah, I mean I don't know why the narrative on Oregon, like whatever has tarnished their shine, I think that will slowly go away. I think they'll be fine. I mean, I don't
Well,
have any issues with Oregon.
it's screwing around with a shitty Wisconsin team in the Penn State win, looking like not what it was.
Yeah.
That's the lack of shine on them.
So yeah, guys, this is what I have right here.
And you have Virginia. You have Virginia. Do they win out, or do you have them picking up a loss somewhere and
I'll
then
be
winning?
honest with you. That's just kind of a random team for me. That's not necessarily the ACC is just so up in the air
You
that
have
I'm
no
just
idea who's going anywhere.
yeah, week to week. I'm obviously a Chandler Morris. I'm definitely still a big fan of him. But again, I think that it's just kind of that's kind of a wash right there. The ACC gets a team in, but yeah, this is what I have right here. A&M, ATM at 2, Georgia at 4, Bama at 5. We squeak in basically there at 11, and then this is where you go. And then obviously USF, that's who I have as my pick. I don't necessarily know what happened in that Memphis game, but I don't think that it will happen again. And again,
And
this
so,
this
so
is what I
just
pick.
so just real quick. So you have A&M beating Bama and giving Bama a third loss in the SEC championship game.
I with this schedule here, yes,
So
go
don't
ahead.
you think
Because
Bama?
Georgia's
Well,
not going to make the.
but
They're
how
not going
does
to have
how
the
does
Georgia
resume
Bama
to
stay at
make it SEC.
5 if they have
They
3
don't stay at
losses?
5 with 3 losses. They don't even they get in, but they don't stay at 5. Hello?
Or does Bama beat A&M?
I didn't
Because
really think that. I didn't really think that far into it. I just went off. If the regular season ended now, which I should have included those games, and that's my fault, fellas. I should have included the championship games, but I just kind
I
of
can
went
believe
off. If the season
that.
ends now, I would put ATM at 2, and I just feel like yeah, somewhere down the road, I think that loss to us is what's going to linger because they have. I think Bama has LSU this weekend. They have us next weekend. Then they have Eastern Illinois or whatever that's coming to town, and then they go on the road to Auburn.
Yep, that's right.
So yeah, I just feel like
So, but
yeah,
if they have 2 regular season losses,
uh
they
huh,
they have the tiebreaker over Georgia, so they still get into the SEC championship game over Georgia
yeah,
and and I guess they have the tiebreaker over LSU over Ole Miss. I would guess common opponent, right? That would be the tiebreaker. So they didn't play each other, right? I have that right. So they both, Bama beat Georgia, Ole Miss lost to Georgia. That's how that tiebreaker resolves. But if you have A&M beating them, and do you have A&M? So you have A&M going undefeated and beating Bama in the SEC championship game.
Pretty much, if they're going to be at number 2, I would have to put it like that. I think
Yeah.
if I
So
still relied on them.
I think Bama at with 3 losses
Uh huh.
is probably the number 10 team, and everybody below OU. OU's over Bama because they won head to head, right?
Hmm.
So you'd have OU at 10, Bama at 11, and then everybody else sort of moves up one. With how you've laid things out with their
Yeah, that makes sense.
without that's what you probably have. So
Yeah.
because there's this whole like Georgia could drop.
Fuck.
If Bama lost 2 games or something, or Ole Miss loses another game, Georgia can lose to Tech, right, at 10-2, get to the SEC championship game, then lose, and then they're another 3-loss SEC team. So the chaos you had previously said could happen this month has the SEC is very vulnerable to this kind of weirdness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can go ahead and throw mine up there now. I've got a different scenario than you guys by, I think, quite a bit. So
That's what we want. That's what we want.
Here we
So,
go.
so Jason, walk us through how we get to it.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Yeah, so you've got, obviously, I've got Ohio State number 1, Alabama number 2, which means that they win the game next week in Tuscaloosa. All right. Ole Miss at number 4, because I think, even though they did lose to Georgia, I think that I forget how I had that working out, but
So
number 3, Indiana. Well,
So what's your SEC championship game?
SEC championship game would be Bama. It'd be Bama A&M.
Okay. So Ole Miss basically sits on the sideline and gets the 4 seed because they're 11-1, haven't lost a game.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And
So-
you have A&M dropping to 5 because they lose the SEC championship game.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right. Okay.
I think somewhere in there they're probably going to lose the Texas game. I feel like they're going to lose that Texas, but I think Texas is going to get beat by Georgia, and it's not going to matter. That being said, so the reason I got OU at 11, I've got OU getting in at 9-3. I don't know that I believe in this at all whatsoever, but what I'm not going to do is what you guys. Nobody even talked about the fact you guys have Tech and BYU would be playing for what looks like a third time. They would have to be playing for a third time
No, it's
in
second
order
time.
to do it.
Second time.
No. So they wouldn't be playing in the conference championship? You're not saying that Tech wins this weekend? Because the only way that Tech and BYU...
No. I have BYU winning out, Tech playing them again in the Big 12 championship.
Winning that. Oh, got it.
And then they beat BYU and get the automatic seed, and then the conference committee throwing their hands in the air and saying, "Play a third time. We're done with you guys."
Okay, that's why I was asking you in the private chat there what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
So I figured, okay, yeah, cool. Well, I believe that Notre Dame, again, they're going to win out. They're not going to lose to Pitt. They're going to win that game, and I believe that they're going to get in. I see them playing.
And you have BYU winning out.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right, that's fine. No worries.
No, actually, I could see BYU losing this weekend, winning the conference championship game,
and knocking Tech out at 9-3. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So even at 10-2, Tech may not get in there. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right.
So we'll see. Anyway, because I have Louisville getting in from the ACC. I think they're the best team in the ACC. That's my opinion, but that's
it's as good as any opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at with that.
And you have Georgia beating Tech and winning out.
Yeah.
But you have A&M. A&M is now, and your thing is 11-2, having lost to Texas and lost the SEC championship game to Bama.
Right.
Do they win the tiebreak over?
You know what? That could, and you could probably swap that around, and they probably would if they ended up at 11-2, and one of those being in the title game losses. They probably throw Georgia in above them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you could swap those two around. I mean, it was. Okay. I was kind of pulling it together a little bit too.
But OU's 9-3.
Yes. They're 9-3 getting in. I don't know that I necessarily believe that's going to happen.
Is
but
Texas 9-3?
Yeah, they would be. So honestly, I think that it's probably Texas.
Okay, so in your scenario, let's give you a break here. So Georgia beats Texas, Arkansas beats Texas, and then Texas rallies and beats A&M.
Okay, yeah.
Texas is
if Oklahoma's going to get in, then yes, that would be because if they're both at 9-3, in my scenario, if they're both at 9-3, Texas has to get in because of the head-to-head.
Well, and they'll have 2 conference losses versus.
It has to matter what happens on the field. It has to.
But Miami picks up another loss to make that not matter. For Notre Dame, right? You don't have Miami winning out and making that whole head-to-head with Notre Dame more interesting.
You know what? I hadn't really thought about that a whole lot.
I mean, Mario Cristobal coaches them, so we know that's not happening. So,
well, they don't have much of a schedule left, do they? Though they should.
They got to play FSU.
Yeah, well, okay.
No, they don't. They've already played FSU. Sorry, they got to play.
Oh, they beat them, right?
Yeah, they played them. Who they got? I'll take a look at their schedule. They could. I don't think there's a lot of weight to it. So you're right from that standpoint that there's not like a lot of marquee. They can't add any marquee wins to the schedule. You're correct about that. That's definitely true. They are not going to be able to add any marquee wins. The ACC list is so freaking long here and has the teams in it that don't. Okay, so they got to play NC State and Syracuse and Pitt. So I had Pitt knocking them off. But if you're Notre Dame, if you're Notre Dame, I can see NC State beating them with that quarterback they got too.
I agree with that too, but I honestly think Miami's one of the best teams in the country. I think that they have one of the worst game day coaches ever. And
I mean he's a complete liability when you
and I mean, but Carson Beck hasn't been playing great either. And I mean, so you can't as much as it'd be easy just to put it all off on Mario. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's throwing picks at the wrong fucking time, So, I don't. As much as I think that talent-wise, they should. They should have been in it last year too, though. And so, it surprised me. No, not at all.
So Miami gets another loss. So that head-to-head with Notre Dame thing is immaterial.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Okay. So that's where. I mean, look. I mean, obviously, there's some holes in it, but I think there's some holes in this entire discussion anyway.
Well, there is. We're doing this for entertainment value, right? And to talk about where we think OU is nationally, right, and where OU fits. I mean, Chris.
I thought the strength of schedule was to be a big factor. It is supposed to be a big factor. When you look at the strength of schedule that Texas has isn't a whole lot different than Oklahoma's at this point, and it will never be a bigger factor than head-to-head. It will never be. So if they both ended up at 9-3, Texas would be in. Texas would be in because the games that are played on the field have to matter.
Well, because Texas going 9-3 has a win over A&M or Georgia.
That's right.
And OU at 9-3
They already have 3 ranked wins as it is.
And OU doesn't have a win over Bama. So Texas has the best win and head-to-head and less conference losses.
This is why I've said many times before that I don't think that 9-3 Oklahoma necessarily gets in because I think there's a lot of weird little things that could, just like this. I think it's a good exercise for everybody because we can talk this through and kind of see what's coming, right? But in the end, the best thing you could do if you're Oklahoma, don't fucking lose.
Yeah, to take all the drama out of the damn thing.
Don't lose. Do not get beat by Alabama. And I mean, that's a tough ask. I'm going to say that. That's a tough ask. You're going to Tuscaloosa and having to deal with all that shit. And play there and win, expected to win because you didn't handle business at home against Ole Miss, which you can put that on a number of things. I would put it on coaching and decision-making there. Again, don't lose that game if you want in and you think that you're one of the best teams in.
Okay, guys, in the nightmare weird scenario where OU and Texas both win out, are they both in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, who's taking a seat if that happens? Because even if they both win out, because they don't take anybody above them in the four SEC teams above them. Even if they win out, they don't put anybody at 3 losses. Other than, yeah, they don't put anybody at 3 losses.
If they win out, so if they win out, would it knock? If they beat Texas A&M, does it knock them out of the conference championship game? Because they've got no losses.
Yeah, so I'm saying I don't think if they both win out,
that would mean that Mizzou would have to beat A&M this weekend.
No, I mean if OU and Texas win out, they're both 10-2, right?
They're getting in.
But if they win out, but the teams above them don't pick up any other extraneous losses, Ole Miss is at 1 loss, Bama's at 1 conference loss, Georgia is at 2 losses. So theoretically, Texas jumps Georgia. And then does OU get in over 10-2 Georgia? They both lost to Ole Miss. OU beat Bama.
Alabama, who beat them.
Yeah, so OU would get in over Georgia.
I mean, theoretically, yeah. Good luck with that. I mean, you still have to see that play out, and I don't know what the committee does with that.
I mean, they have 6.
You know what? Chris said it perfectly. Fucking chaos could ensue anytime now.
Yeah, I mean, you
chaos.
And then if you have Michigan run the table, and then they beat Indiana, and OU has beaten Alabama and the Big Ten champion. Do you see them over Georgia? I think you have to.
You would.
I mean, it would be. I mean, as Chris said, some nutty stuff could happen. I mean, we saw it, right? Like that 2000.
The perfect thing is fucking chaos is on its way.
I mean, 2019 OU stumble bums their way into the 14 playoff, right? I mean, that Jalen Hurts team, we're like, we're not going to the playoffs. Then all of a sudden, we wake up and we're like,
Oregon losing to fucking Arizona.
Yeah, all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute. I think we're in the playoffs. Are we in the playoffs? Yeah, we're in the playoffs. Well,
there wasn't any OU fans that were like excited about that.
No, we were like, what the hell just happened? Same thing with the whole the West Virginia 2007 nonsense, right? They lose that day, and all of a sudden, LSU stumps their way back into there because we lost that stupid Tech game because Cale Gundy started Alan Patrick over DeMarco Murray instead in Lubbock and got Sam Bradford concussed. But yeah, it's messy. Like I said, you're like, well, so I mean, we really need Georgia to put a loss on Texas, regardless of what OU does in Tuscaloosa. We need that to happen. Do that, and then you need A&M to take care of business. That's the game I'm more worried about, is A&M throwing a dog up in Austin and losing to the Longhorns. I mean, that's why I'm really mad at Mississippi State and Kentucky for not getting the fucking job done the previous 2 weeks. I knew Vandy was going to throw
Mississippi State too. Mississippi State too. All 3 of them they could have lost.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a mess. So okay, Chris, we'll get to this more next week, but I'm sticking with my preseason prediction that OU loses to Bama, at least in this projection right now, and all that. Do you want to give us, in the last 5 minutes, like a quick Bama preview? You and I've been talking offline a little bit about it. Do you want to give us some quick thoughts about Bama?
So first off, I would say offensively, you got the QB run has to be mixed in there. Not by design. There are going to be plenty of alleyways, plenty of holes for you to be able to go. They struggle against a lot of improvisation from the quarterbacks. Also, you can run the ball on them, run the damn ball, please. Third thing, this is a game here where Cannon could have a pretty big day if they choose to involve him. They struggle against the tight end for whatever reason. Again, they're quick off the edge from time to time. They can be stout from time to time. They're kind of an opportunistic defense because to me, I think the strength of that team is their secondary, but their secondary can get got right. Sometimes they're just not as technically sound or disciplined, but you can pass, you can run the ball. You can do just about everything you want on that defense. What Mateer is going to have to do, kind of watching them again today, he's just he's going to have to scan the field. He's going to actually have to look at the field because they have some linebackers that do want to try to make some plays on balls by dropping back and different things. So he can't just predetermine and telegraph things. Defensively, I would say I'm really interested to see when they come out. And Ryan Grubb, you could tell he's been in the NFL, but when they line up in those formations where they're putting him under center, Ty Simpson under center, and they are running a lot of play action off of that, that's what's going to be interesting. Can you can you stop the crossers that are coming from Bernard? Can you stop the crosser that's coming from or the corner route that's coming from their running back or Ryan Williams right there as well, right? Can you stop those? Because at the end of the day, I just don't know. When you get pressure on Ty Simpson, he will fold. He's a willing runner. He's not necessarily a great rusher. They don't necessarily have a great rushing attack, but they do have durable backs who can catch out of the backfield and run routes as well. So you have to just be ready for all the chaos at the line of scrimmage, because once they snap the ball, people are going in several different directions. And to me, I think the biggest thing is just the interchange. How do you interchange with those wide receivers? They love to run those tight formations. They love to run those bunch formations as well. And so usually there's a corner route. There is a go route. There's a couple of go routes, but there's mostly a corner route, a seam route, and then also just a crosser that they're running, especially with their three wide receivers with Williams, Bernard, and Horton. So I think for me in this game, it's just all about physicality, being physical, and kind of forcing them into predictable situations. Obviously, that's easier said than done. And last but not least, take Bernard away and make Ryan Williams show you that he can catch every ball that's thrown to him. I think that if you can pick up the underneath stuff, the way that you played against Tennessee, the way you've played all year, where you're robbing and doing a lot of those different things, I think that you can muddy up the picture for Ty Simpson. Again, him being on the center makes me very nervous for them, simply because I think our pass rush is going to be the best that they faced this year. So it's just one of those things that, guys, go out there and watch the game. Go watch the LSU game. Pay attention to it. A lot of the things that I'm talking about, you will see how gettable they really are. They are a good team. They're a really good team. But at the same time, you don't have to go back far. Yes, they blew out Wisconsin, but you go and see some of the things Wisconsin did to force them into a lot of uncomfortable situations. Go back and watch the Florida State game. It's still there. A lot of the issues that they've had. Go and watch the South Carolina game. A lot of what Sellers did in that game to keep them close in that game, just a lot of improv, being able to keep the plays alive, keep the drives alive, and then also just making timely passes. And it wasn't anything big down the field. He was just taking what the defense was giving him. But again, his legs were a big part of that day. So I would just say that you have a chance to be really successful against Bama. You just kind of have to play it out, get healthy this week, and be ready for next week. I mean, we'll talk about it next week more in depth, but again, those are the things that I see. I think that Mateer with his legs, if he can get that going as well, but if he's seeing the field and doing what he needs to do, he should have a solid day. I think what it'll come down to is just stopping so many of the explosive plays, and that's what the Tennessee game gave me so much. That's why the Tennessee game was so good for us, simply because, again, yes, we gave up a lot of yards to Joey Aguilar. And the whole thing is that, hey, there's a couple of plays there where you're saying like, hey, that probably doesn't happen if we wrap up on some of those, some poor tackles, right? But at the end of the day, again, I still say you did not hear Brazel's name being called an awful lot during that game. And that was something that I was really happy about. You took away their most explosive wide receiver and forced everybody else to play hero ball. So again, I think that that's something that you can carry over to this Alabama game. And again, Ryan Williams is a really, really good wide receiver. I mean, really good. And at times you can pick one and you can say, hey, he's number one over Jeremiah Smith. But there are times where he shows up loud in the first 5 minutes of the game, and then you don't hear anything else from him until maybe later on in the game or not at all. It's Bernard. That's their wide receiver. That's the guy that they want to get going early and often. Make Horton, take away Horton. And again, like I said, put the focus on Ryan Williams and just watch everything over the middle. That's where they're killing a lot of teams at is over the middle and with those crossers. But when I watch them, I say, hey, this is a really good ball club. Ryan Grubb is the difference between them and last year. Obviously, they had Milrow, but still, that's kind of the biggest difference for me is just that he's came in there and added some pro concepts and tried to simplify things for Ty Simpson. So it should be a really good ball game next week. But again, we got to see what happens against LSU this week.
All right, Jason, are you ready for our my bookie picks?
Yeah, I just wanted to do those real quick before we get out of here. So, I mean, we can do them fast. So, obviously, make sure you guys check out my bookie for become. All you got to do is deposit, and it hooks us up as well. But it'll definitely take care of you. You can get up to $1,000 back on a deposit bonus just by signing up through hofmedia.us/mybookie1000. Last week and the week before, I think I went 4-6 overall. K. Chris was 3-7 overall, and Chris Mason was 4-6 overall as well. It's tight, but as you can see, actually K. Chris ended up going 4-6 as well because the week before he wasn't as good. Hit 4 out of 5 in this one. Anyway, moving to this week's picks. BYU, we've got everybody except for Mr. Mason we have BYU at least covering. K. Chris, is that a cover or is that a win?
I'm going with BYU with the win.
You're going BYU with the win. Okay. Yeah, I think that BYU could win this one, or they could. Yeah, I think they are going to win this one. That's why it reflected in my playoff picks as well. I think Taco Tech is done. But Mr. Mason, give us your reasoning for Taco Tech.
Texas Tech stops the run. BYU needs the run.
Okay. All right. Now, A&M at Mizzou. We've all got A&M winning that one at Mizzou, although somebody in there just said A&M losing to Mizzou actually helps Oklahoma. I don't know. I think you're probably right for the 9-3 thing anyway. But we've all got that happening at Mizzou on the road. I think last year they showed that there wasn't. I think they were a lot better team last year. I think they're even a better team than they were last year. So, and I don't think Mizzou is. So that's just my feelings on that. The Oregon and Iowa game, though. Talk to us about Iowa. Are you saying cover there, Mr. Mason?
Complete cover.
Just a cover.
Just a cover. Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be weather's going to be shitty. So I'm expecting a low scoring game.
Okay. All right. LSU at Bama, we all got Bama winning and covering 9.5. I almost went the other direction on that because I think LSU's got the horses to stay in this game. It is on the road. I could see them falling apart there, though.
Late cover for me. Late cover.
It's kind of a late cover. Yeah, I think so.
Hey, can I say one thing, Jason?
Please.
I was just gonna say it just popped in my mind about that Oregon pick. Chris Mason, that's a terrible pick, even if you are just playing on the numbers. Their quarterback has thrown for 946 yards this season thus far this season. Yes. and only 4 touchdowns. I don't see how that's a low scoring game. I think Oregon. Yeah, it's a low scoring game. 20-3 sounds right. Oregon, take that all day.
Oh, whoa.
Okay, so who did Oregon get embarrassed by at home?
It's not the point. It's the principle, Chris Mason. It's this week. I'm telling you what's gonna happen.
I'm just saying Iowa is playing good football. If this was in
Wait, wait,
Eugene,
wait.
I would agree with you.
Good football?
Decent football for
Come on.
Iowa, I'm grading on a curve here.
All
I
right, all right.
mean, they gave Indiana the best game to date. Fact. Oregon got smacked by Indiana at home. Fact. So we'll
Okay.
see. We'll see.
Lucas James, explain this. How would it help them at 10-2? They're getting in at 10-2 no matter what.
Yeah, I don't make that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Missouri, to me, Missouri's irrelevant. OU has to beat Missouri. Missouri becomes irrelevant. Goodbye.
True. All right. LSU Bama, again, it's a late cover. I could see that being a late cover. I think Bama wins it for sure though. Georgia at Mississippi State. You got to explain this Mississippi State deal.
It's a cover. It's a cover.
Okay.
And it's and Georgia's secondary is leaky. And Mississippi State has burners who can stretch the field. And Georgia is playing, and they got a big game next. I think this is a hangover game from Florida and a look ahead game to Texas. And Georgia farts around for 3 quarters and doesn't cover.
Okay.
And they've been doing that all year long, right? Farting around, letting teams hang around with them. They haven't really been like putting the boot to folks that much.
Yeah. Coach Roybal says Iowa could win. He's with you on that one. And you know what? I mean, for Dan Lanning and the way that Dan Lanning does things, I could see that, I guess. I don't see that, but okay.
I mean, in a torrential downpour.
That was his way of telling K. Chris to shut the flip up. No, but K. Chris, you got to respond to this Mississippi State thing, though. Come on.
Georgia's going to roll that game, man. I think at the end of the day, I think Mississippi State has finally ran out of gas, man. They have done what they needed to do this year, which was show the promise, show real promise, and show the development and the growth is happening. But I think that they've ran out of gas. I think they're pretty much on their last. They're on that fifth wheel, man. Honestly, I just don't see them. I see them maybe being problematic here and there, but I don't see this being like a 40-45 game or something like that ending. I think Georgia gets this game probably pretty much by 2 scores.
Yeah, the reason that I have Georgia covering this by a couple of scores is because I don't think that Blake Shapin's the same kind of quarterback as what they faced in these other games they've been close in. I just don't see that part. So
yeah, we've just seen Georgia sleepwalking, and Stark Vegas is kind of a sleepwalking trap place. And
I was in Stark Vegas yesterday.
So, and Georgia, sleptwalk through Florida a little bit before they, put it together. So again, Georgia is a good team that knows how to win. Winning is a skill according to Teddy Lehman, and Georgia has that, but it doesn't mean it's always pretty.
Oh, okay, all right. I mean, I understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it.
It's a point.
Leading this thing by 3, so I'm hoping you're way the hell off.
Yeah, and so you guys need me giving you these gimmies. I gave you NC State last week, and it ended up being a win.
Now you're only up by 3 now. You're not. It's not like you have this large, like this huge lead.
Okay, well, that's true.
It's a minor setback for a major comeback, Chris Mason. Don't worry about it.
Well, no worries. I mean, there's got to be some differences, guys. We can't all go chalk here.
Fair enough. All right, guys. Anything else you guys want to add to this before we get out of here? We've been going for an hour and 24 minutes. Everybody make sure that you go to all 3 of the Go to all 3 of the streams. Make sure you hit the like button, become a subscriber. We're now 200 away on Hall of Fame college football from 5,000 subs. It would be great to hit that at some point this season. So yeah, make sure you get over there and do that if you haven't already.
I dropped a recruiting podcast last night. It's on YouTube. Go to my channel. 35 minutes of nothing but pure recruiting talk. No bullshit like on other supposed recruiting podcasts. And K. Chris and I are doing recruiting chats Monday, 8 p.m. Central, Q&A, a chance for you to ask me real recruiting questions and get real answers.
That's awesome. McDonald Sims Sports asks, does Lebby get a job replacing one of the coaches that might leave? Kiffin, Drink, maybe even a look at Auburn. If he wins the game against Tennessee, maybe. If he wins the game against, they've had some games that they were very close to winning.
He beat Texas, yeah. If he had beaten Texas, yeah.
Now, I guess I could see him taking the Ole Miss gig because of kind of continuity there. He could kind of keep that together. They have.
He was hated man in Mississippi, wouldn't he?
At least in Starkville, he would be. He would be in Starkville. But
so one last thing. What do we make of Josh Pate saying that Lincoln Riley's bailing on USC?
To where?
He's apparently actively looking to bail on USC. That's what Josh Pate was basically indicating. Who do we think is dumb enough to make that hire? Is Auburn dumb enough?
To make which pick?
To hire Lincoln Riley.
Oh yeah.
If they have enough guys turn them down, couldn't you see them, their AD flailing around and picking up Lincoln?
Do you think Lincoln has the balls to take that job though?
So, which job?
The Auburn job.
Oh,
way. No
that'd
way.
be kind of like a match made in heaven for them, wouldn't it?
Lincoln.
But where else would he go? He's apparently hunting a new job.
He doesn't
He's hunting a new job.
Well, I think he could talk himself into LSU or Florida before he gets that one.
Okay, all right. I mean, his act is wearing thin in USC, right? He's like a carnival, it's like a roadshow snake oil salesman, right? He's got a pack up shop and go to his next place.
He Nebraska'd himself.
So close. Yeah,
he Nebraska'd himself. That's a new term, but that's essentially what he did. He wanted to put himself. He took himself away from his natural recruiting grounds.
Oh,
he cut his pipelines off, and he isolated himself in an area that is unknown to him. And what a lot of people thought, the cowherds and everybody else in the world thought that, hey, he's gonna. You can just recruit California and be just fine. That's not his approach, and that's never been his approach. And OU fans try to tell USC fans that for the longest, because there's a lot of kids here where you just say, hell, Venables, at least tried to come back in and make things right to get some of these kids that are elsewhere, these Oklahoma kids. But at the same time, he just didn't recruit like that. He recruited nationally.
And that's a lot of people. I would say that Mike Gundy owed his resurgence in those last few years to Lincoln's ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if Aranda gets tossed, and would he go to Baylor?
Yeah. That would be a good place for him, to be honest with you. That'd be a good place for him. That'd be a really good place for him, Darren Waco.
That's very interesting. All right, guys. I didn't want to go too far on this. I just thought the Lincoln trying to get another job stuff was just too bizarre, too interesting. So
Riley's buyout is bigger than Jimbo's. So is they've got that kind of money at USC to do that, and it would be just like them to say, "Hold my beer, we will do it." It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. All right, guys.
All right, we're out, guys.
His buyout is why it's $80 million. It's got to be $80 million, right?
But he could leave, right? And they wouldn't have to pay USC too much cash. I bet that's the way his contract is.
Right.
What he owes USC probably isn't that much.
Oh, no. His buyout from USC, if they fire him, is $80 million.
Oh, yeah.
But for him to leave, no, I don't think it's the same.
All right, man. All right, guys, we're out. Thanks,
guys.
everyone. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one.